Hello, folks. I know some of you have been wondering what happened to the radio show, and as announced on my blog that I'm simply not doing it anymore with Reality Radio Network. Steve had contacted me the first part of December, and had told me he would no longer allow listener call-in type shows on the network, that people were thinking the listener call-in number was my home number and calling it day and night looking for me. And I asked several times during the shows over the months for listeners to not use that number unless I was doing a live show. And apparently people wouldn't listen, were calling him day and night, and he just got fed up with it and decided to do away with listener call-in type show formats altogether. At this point, I could have continued to do the show, but I chose not to. If I'm going to talk to myself for an hour or two, I can just tape messages and upload them to my website. So that's what I've decided to do. You know, it will probably cost me more in bandwidth usage on the websites, but the Lord will take care of that. He's always taken care of me, and I just leave it in His hands. You know, people want to know what to expect in 2006. And the things I keep seeing, other than the avian flu epidemic, is the Madrid fault line earthquake with an epicenter in St. Louis, and a disaster in California. Perhaps a huge earthquake causing a tsunami, wiping out a large portion of the west coast. I keep seeing a huge wave of water hitting the west coast. There will be more wars this year. But the Lord has ultimately said it is a time to prepare. Time to prepare this year for the years beyond this one. Next year could be harder times. Either way, He has said to use this year to prepare despite what else is going on. Things are never going to get better, folks. The aliens are still threatening to take over our government and our country, and that's dominant for this year as well as it was for last year. It's an allowed event. What that means is that we may not know the year that they actually do it, but they're going to. And they're threatening to this year, just as they were last year. And so the threat is always there. It's always hanging over the heads of our government, who also know what the aliens are threatening to do. The aliens simply want the entire Bush administration to resign. And obviously Bush isn't going to go out anytime soon on his own. So they're working behind the scenes. They're fighting behind the scenes at each other. The New Agers want to take over the New World Order's government. And so it's a battle behind the scenes between the New Age and the New World Order. And they're both fighting for world supremacy, for world control. And they know they have to take over Babylon. Whoever's going to lead the world has to be in control of the United States. The United States is the last days of Babylon. And so that's why there's so much focus here. Spent a lot of time this week writing. You know, the Lord had me writing one thing after the next for several days there. And when He leads, that's all I do is I write. I write as He wants me to write, what He leads me to say. Not usually the way He doesn't tell me exact words to say things. But I usually get an idea of what it is He wants me to say as He leads me to write it. And so one of the first articles I wrote last week was called Project Earth, Satan is on the Prowl. And you can read this article at my website at SherryShriner.com. It's also listed in my articles section at SherryTalkRadio.com or thewatcherfiles.com. You know, Peter warned us in 1 Peter 5:8. He said, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." You know, the Apostle Peter warned us to be on guard against the devil. The devil is a false accuser, the slanderer of men before God. Peter calls the devil our adversary because that is what he is. In Hebrew, ha-satan means adversary. He is our opponent, our enemy. Lucifer in Hebrew, his name is Halael. It's pronounced Halael. And it's called both the devil and Satan because it fulfills both of these roles. I hate getting into semantic wars with people. You know, if they have nothing to do or nothing else to argue about, they'll pick a fight over semantics. And it's mostly those from the realm of the occult who have been brainwashed in one way or another into believing that Satan isn't real, or that Lucifer and Satan are not the same person. But as former high-ranking Satanists will tell you, those at the very top, high rank of Satanism, they know Satan exists. And they know the war between Satan and God. No matter what the amateur ranks want to believe, no matter what they tell them to believe. And you can pretty much tell the rank of where somebody is in Satanism, because they know the difference between Satan and God, that they both exist. You know, Satan is real. He's devouring the souls of men and women all over this planet, and he's been doing so for thousands of years. As a fallen angel from heaven, he is also the prince of demons. He controls both realms of beings, aliens and the demonic. Aliens are fallen angels, and that is just another term for them. Once they started referring to themselves as to hide the fact they're fallen angels, fallen watchers from heaven, so they started calling themselves aliens, and that's what mankind started calling them. But they're simply the angels that rebelled against the Most High God. There was two different rebellions, the Watcher's rebellion and Lucifer's rebellion. And so these angels come from both of these different rebellions. And that's how we have two different types of aliens today. You have the humanoid aliens that were the Watchers that fell from heaven, and you have the grotesque-looking aliens like reptilians and greys and eons of different species of the ugly kind. And those were the ones that rebelled with Lucifer against the Most High. Fallen angels are not the same thing as demons. Demons are the spirits of the human hybrid children that resulted from the offspring of human women and the Watchers who left heaven to cohabitate and impregnate human women. And so when the fallen angels, the Watchers, came to earth and procreated with human women, they produced children. And when these children died, they became what is known as demons. Their souls were left to roam the earth. They became demons. And you can find this in Enoch. If you read the first 15 chapters of the book of Enoch, you get a pretty good handle on exactly what's going on today. And you can read the book of Enoch at my website, SherryTalkRadio.com. As you can see, Satan's territory is pretty vast. He not only owns all of the demons, the demonic realm, what we call the demonic realm, he also owns the aliens. He's in charge of the aliens, which is what we refer to as the terrestrial realm, or the extraterrestrial realm. And they inhabit the heavenlies. They also inhabit subterranean earth. They have bases under the earth. They have bases on planets, on star systems. Satan is the prince of power of the air, the first and second heavens, and also subterranean earth. And so he has a vast area of what he controls. And these fallen angels, the aliens, will fly around in what we call UFOs. Demons are limited to the surface and subterranean aspects of the earth. The demons are limited to the earth. Satan uses both groups to accomplish his plans in destroying the earth and keeping as many souls as he can away from Yahweh and the truth and redemption that is in the Lord. You know, both of these groups are used to propagate false religions and to deceive mankind into worshiping them as gods and idols. For example, the demon Moroni runs and controls Mormonism and has his own temple room overlaid in gold under the Mormon temple in Utah. Sananda, who plays Jesus in the astral realm and near-death experiences, is actually a tall gray alien who takes a human form to deceive Christians. Michelangelo painted a portrait of Sananda back in the 14, 15, 1600s, can't remember which hundreds that was. And the churches adopted this picture as Jesus, even though they knew that that's not what he really looked like. But even today, they attribute it to him. How many homes in America today have the picture of Sananda in them? Many do. You can walk into many Christians' home and see a picture of Sananda hanging in their house. Satan's millions of